You are listening to the Social Hotelier Show, a podcast that inspires hoteliers to create meaningful and memorable experiences for their customers in pursuit of their passion. We share our views and experiences relating to hospitality, technological trends, and also relating to humanity. Here is your host, Sam-Erik Ruttman.
Jayanth N Kolla is a deep tech strategist, serial entrepreneur, and a global advisor with over 2 decades of experience across telecom, AI, and emerging technologies. As founder and partner at Convergence Catalyst, he helps enterprises navigate digital transformation across AI, Internet of Things, and beyond. Known for advising giants like Apple, Google, and Microsoft, Jayanth blends sharp foresight with real-world execution. A patent holder, author, and an influential voice in global tech circles. In short, he's the guy companies call when they know AI matters but have no idea where to start. Jayanth, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam-Erik. It's a pleasure, as always.
Do you realize that we've been doing these episodes together? You've been a guest since 2019, and today is the 6th episode.
Wow. I do remember that we met in 2019 and our first recording was actually in a couple of days since we met and since we hit it off so well. And I know, we've been doing this almost at the rate of 1 a year, but I did not realize that this is the 6th time. I mean, I've always enjoyed our conversations and being on this podcast. So.
Well, so do I, and I enjoy that because I'm learning every time. And you come up with some predictions, and I should put money on those predictions because they actually are working very well. So I have to be honest with you, that you're really keeping yourself. You have you are really looking ahead on what's happening in the industry, and that's why all my audience, in fact, who are watching this show, I get a lot of people who are just watching because when you're on.
I appreciate that, Sam-Erik. You cull out the best insights from me. What can I say?
So let's try here. Well, today we're going to talk about China's advancements and lead in AI over the West and how it reflects in the hospitality industry. This is a very interesting topic, and I'm really curious that you can help me out to understand the intricacies on China and AI lead versus the West. So is there a narrative that the West leads AI already outdated? And if so, what signals are we choosing to ignore about China's real position?
Well, I would not go to say that the West leading AI, that narrative is outdated, in relation to China and China's advancements. But, it is different, okay? Or it is partly true. You have to look at how West measures its advancements and what aspects of AI that, West is focused on. And this is primarily American tech industry, right? They are talking about the large language models, right? The foundational models, which is primarily software led, okay? And in those advancements, with OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini and even Meta, West did take the leading position and continues to lead, okay? But that is the prevalent form of AI. That is the most popular form of AI today, but that's not all AI, number one. And even that lead, Chinese companies are able to catch up and close the gap extremely fast, right? And, models like DeepSeek and Manus and all of those, right? So, but there are other forms and manifestations of AI, okay, where China is fairly advanced, okay, advanced than the West, okay, in terms of innovation, in terms of productization, manifestation of that technology into application solutions, okay, and value creation, as compared to the West. That's in the space of computer vision AI, in the space of what we call physical AI, which is combining artificial intelligence with robotics. Okay, and and into hardware and into Internet of Devices, getting the hardware and AI to combine and work and solve problems or create value in industries where robotic or physical AI is can be used. In those areas, in those domains, in those use cases, China is advanced. In computer vision, China is advanced. Okay. But the most prevalent form of AI that has captured everyone's imagination around the world, West is ahead by only a little bit as of today. As of we are doing this recording on the 12th of May 2026. As of today, West is a little ahead. So comprehensively looking in all terms, the narrative that West is advanced, fairly advanced than China in AI is only partly true. Okay, and it's also not complete. But at the same time, I would not say it's outdated as well.
Yeah. So is China's advantage in AI driven by scale and data access rather than innovation, or does that make it more dangerous or more fragile?
No, I would not say that. I wouldn't say that China's advancements in AI is not innovation. Yes, it's definitely got to do with scale, definitely got to do with data access, because, China, the government, the country, they have different regulations when it comes to data handling and how that data can be used, okay, for building AI models and AI solutions, okay. Which are different from, let's say, Europe or other parts of the West. Okay, but by no means one can say that China is lagging behind in innovation, because if you look at, for example, the entire American industry using a combination of sanctions, and limiting the access of chipsets and GPUs, NVIDIA GPUs, for the last few years, they did not let the China or Chinese companies have access to NVIDIA GPUs, which for the longest of time have been the only, okay, or the best, if not the only, processors on which AI models could be trained on or built on, right? But China did not let that sanctions or inaccessibility to chipsets deter its advancement. So they innovated, they built their own chipsets. In the same way, in computer vision, I mean, if you look at artificial intelligence, there are multiple branches of it. One is all text based, which is what we are seeing right now. It's called natural language processing and natural language understanding, which is all text based, which is what we see in chat GPT and everything. But there's computer vision, which is image recognition, image identification, and then video recognition, video analysis. In that and that's a huge branch of AI as well. In that vertical and branch, China is advanced as well, and they're innovating constantly. I think it was last year there was some poll, I don't remember the study or the poll, but in terms of AI patents filed, AI research, 8 out of the top 10 universities in the world were Chinese universities. Okay.
Oh, really?
Only the other 2 being American. So we cannot say that China is not innovating. They are innovating. Okay. Yeah. And some of the Western sanctions and has actually forced them to innovate in the AI space.
Yeah, so it really hasn't stopped them at all.
No.
Yeah, well, which is just shows the fact that because they have a volume of talent and innovation, so they can really stay. Eventually, may go ahead, get ahead as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the last 1 or 2 generations basis, the entire manufacturing, China being the manufacturing ball of the world, they have really perfected for a couple of generations right now, doing things at scale, right? So, they have always, up until very recently, they have not been very ahead in innovation. But in the space of AI, they're catching up on innovation as well, and they have a muscle memory of scaling any which ways. So once things are innovated, okay, scaling to them comes like the back of their palm. So that way, their their pace and their scale can be extremely fast. Yes.
Yeah. Do you see a future where Western companies depend on Chinese AI ecosystems the same way they once depended on manufacturing?
I was listening to very recently, Scott Galloway's. So I've listened to Scott Galloway on one of the podcasts, and I'm quoting the numbers that he's quoting. Because right now, Sam-Erik, I'm actually in Boston. I'm on a 4-month US, Europe and US trip, and I'm in the month 3. I just started the month 3 of that trip, right? So I've had the opportunity to stay here, and I'm actually based in Boston, and I work in Cambridge, right next to MIT campus. So I get a chance to meet people in MIT, from MIT and Harvard, right, and get to understand what's happening on the ground. And the picture that I'm getting, and according to Scott Galloway, today 1/3 of US companies which are using AI, predominantly for building solutions, are actually using Chinese models. Okay, so that is already happening. Okay, that is already happening, and this is in the enterprise AI space. I can give you a statistic that has been quoted by a venture capitalist in India, almost at the beginning of this year, about 5 months ago, 4 to 5 months ago. 38% of funded Indian startups were using Chinese large language models. Okay, and these were funded startups. I'm not even talking about not funded or bootstrapped startups like ours, right? I mean, I'm building 2 AI platforms and launching 3 AI companies, but we're bootstrapping, right? And we are using Chinese AI models as well. So if you look at it at an overall level, that number is higher. Okay, even in US, I'm hearing that enterprises themselves, 1/3 of the enterprises are using Chinese models, right? So to answer your those are the statistics as of today, and these are constantly changing. To answer your question, will the Western companies depend on Chinese models? Um, See, we are in a free market economy and a capitalist economy, right? Today, AI, for especially for companies and enterprises, is a cost element. Okay, it's not yet a value creation or a revenue. This one, because there's a whole another debate going on the return of investment, ROI, on AI as of today, right? So in free market economy, when it comes to saving your costs, companies normally go for choose models which are low in cost, which today are the Chinese models. Okay, and China is also doing, China and Chinese companies are also doing something equivalent. Their models are completely open source. Okay, so their weights, something called as model weights, they are completely open source, and they are making it completely free and open source for the world, which is equivalent to what used to be steel dumping, right? Chinese steel manufacturers, okay, used to flood the market with oversupply, and even at lower than production costs. Okay, so the consumers of that steel, in this current case, the consumers of the AI models, which are Western companies, are going ahead with it, because AI is a cost element today, and not a revenue element on their balance sheets.
Okay. So, since a majority of our audience is from the hospitality industry, I want to get your views on the implications for hospitality. And what does a China first AI future look like inside a hotel? You have the guest journey, pricing, operations, if we follow their model rather than Silicon Valley's.
If you look at it currently in China, even if you travel there as a tourist, you cannot escape in the hotels. You cannot escape, robotic concierges, robotic waiters, and robos, room service. Right today, and China is a fairly populated country, and I come from the most populated country of the world, India. Okay, there the automation and robotic solutions do not work because we have so many people that we need to provide employment to. Okay, China, for some reason, even though it's the second most populous country in the world with 1.4 billion people, okay, still using robots in the hospitality industry, and hospitality industry and hotels are the primary area where you see these robots which are AI powered being used already. Okay, yeah. So earlier, Sam-Erik, just on this podcast a few years back, we used to discuss the implementation of AI in the hospitality industry, primarily at actually, I remember in the initial days soon after COVID, we used to talk about using AI for personalization, right? Yes. For personalized solutions for the guests, pre-identifying the guests and making the services, tailored and customized for the guests even before they walk into the hotels, right? So and their rooms. Those are now table stakes. Those are now hygiene, at least in the Chinese hospitality industry or the hotels and the and various players in the hospitality industry in China that are using AI. So those are table stakes, custom services, tailored services, extremely personalized services for your guest. Okay, and now that has evolved into physical AI, where robots are now your concierges. Okay, now delivering room service to the room, and all of this is already commonplace in AI. Okay, in China, sorry, commonplace in China. So this is already happening now. As a hospitality industry lifer, you yourself can argue, and I will completely agree with you. What will that do to the human element? Okay, human element of service and service industry. Okay, and that definitely would be missing. But then we are also talking about a culture which is more transactional in nature. Maybe that will work in China. The same, let's say Chinese AI suit for hospitality industry and the same end-to-end solutions might not work in a human touch and an emotion and a relationship based markets and regions like the West.
Yeah, I think that there are hotels. I mean, I've been to hoteling in Korea, visited a Korea hotel that was robotics, and I mean, it's for people who really everything is you pay in advance. You get the room key, and you have your you've done a lot of the things in advance already.
Right.
And all you get is room key, right. And I think I mentioned in one of our episodes that in the lobby there was like a dinosaurus robot greeting you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny thing, and sort of was kind of a humoristic and thing. And when you're traveling on business, you just want to get the room, and
correct.
You just want to make sure the room is clean, and you rely less on sort of a person who will provide you with answering questions. Some of the questions you can actually get already, but then when you come to sort of the ultra luxury, exactly. And particularly in the leisure market, where you have almost like a butler service, and you have people who will be looking after you and stay away from you if you don't want to be bothered, but you still know that the room has been refreshed throughout the day. Not only that they clean the room when you ask them to clean the room, but actually keep the room in a very fresh condition all throughout the day, and they're adding some nice touches. And those are things that will need to have a person who is doing that, and all they can notice that when you got the fruit basket that you were enjoying one particular fruit, and then make sure you get a little bit more of that. So those are the small things which are appreciated, but not taking away from the opportunity when you're traveling and you just want to have a room, it's clean, and everything works, and you feel safe. So that's where the kind of hotels that we are talking about, where the robotics will play a great role, and doesn't take away from the experience. I mean, So in that sense, a robot doesn't create a feeling for you. It's the person who will create a feeling. Absolutely. On the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was always.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm just it's always I keep on thinking about this AI application. And so I was wondering, hyper-personalization powered by AI in China redefined guest expectations globally, making current Western standards feel outdated. And that was really, I was partly answering the question already, but I just want to, if you can think from the point of view I was mentioning, do you see any other angle on this?
So the AI's ability to, provide hyper personalization is very high. In fact, that's one of the two platforms that we have launched, and it's and we have been able to, my company, we have been able to tap into that area of a humans, of hyper personalization that has not been yet touched by the machine learning and the various algorithms that are existing today. So AI's ability to know you as a person at a subconscious level, your persona, okay, and your as a personality is very high, right? And when that can be implemented, integrated and implemented very well in the hospitality industry, in the hotels industry, the offering that can be offered is very, very what can I say, literally intuitive, okay, and very hard to not get used to, and it will very soon become hygiene and table stakes. Now, who will do that? That kind of a personalization, will Chinese companies do that? Chinese companies today, what I see is, are using AI and robotics more for transactional tasks, okay, in the hospitality industry, not as much as personalization. Again, historically, in the area of personalization and making personalization really core and almost to the level of intuitive, and transferring it to the technology and algorithms, has always been pioneered and led by the Western companies, because culturally, in Europe and US, the value for personalization exists, okay.
Yeah.
Because again, historically and culturally, these are more individualistic societies, right?
Yes.
So to answer your question, I will not say personalization led by Chinese AI companies, or China's AI in the hospitality industry. The level of personalization that we are able to achieve and we are able to offer, if as and when it becomes picked up and hits the inflection point in the hospitality industry, regardless of east or the west, China or the western, this one, that will become table stakes and hygiene for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So just thinking a little bit on the strategy and leadership, what capabilities must hotel leaders build today to avoid becoming a downstream operators of someone else's AI platform?
I think, and it's not just for hotel leaders, it's, I think, across the industries for all leaders. Right now, the the need of the hour that I see for all leaders across industries is for themselves to get into an entrepreneurial mode, and also encourage their staff and employees, okay, to get into that mode. And by that, what I mean is, number one, be extremely open and flexible to change, okay, volatility, okay, and and be open to accepting and implementing good ideas, okay, regardless of where they come from, okay. Thereby, if it means that it requires reducing the bureaucracy of decision making, the hierarchical structure, which exists a lot amongst other industries, a little bit relatively higher in the hospitality industry, okay, those barriers need to come down, okay. Because today, in the AI space, on the technology side, that we are seeing innovation coming from different corners of the world. Two member companies sitting in one corner of the world are creating, uh, that could beat the big technology companies, established global technology companies. The same thing, at a micro level is happening in industries and in hotels as well, and it will happen. So, as a hotel and hospitality industry leader, getting into an entrepreneurial mode or adopting an entrepreneurial mindset, which is, being quick on your feet and on your toes, being open for, change and volatility, okay, and being accepting of ideas from different hierarchies, different corners of your organization, are probably the three most important traits that are required for the leader.
Yeah, I agree with you there. What's the biggest risk? Moving too slowly on AI adoption or adopting the wrong ecosystem too early?
Specific to the hospitality and the hotel industry?
Yeah.
Uh, adopting too early would be, and this is something that we see existing in the hospitality industry as well. Even before AI, some of the digital technologies, softwares, be it billing softwares or be it various technology based solutions, okay, when the hospitality industry adopts, okay, and I think we discussed this in one of the previous five podcasts as well. The industry tends to, I won't say overinvest, but invest without checking on the flexibility or future proofing of the technologies. So first and foremost, I would say, the biggest risk of implementing AI technologies is to not be future proof. Okay, because today we are actually in the midst of extremely rapid, innovation and value creation as far as AI is concerned, or driven by AI. And this pace of change and innovation is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. So, as much as it is important to implement the latest and the greatest AI based solutions for your company, it's equally important to ensure that whatever you're implementing right now is future proof as well. Tomorrow, if there's a better tool, better solution, better software that better hardware and software comes along, the existing one can very easily be upgraded. Okay, so that is primarily the criteria that I would urge all the industry folks to be aware of. Okay, the risk is, again, being considered too slow. Okay, at the same time, the risk is, if you want to be called the latest and most innovative and most progressive, don't implement based only on the features and the functionalities and the value creation, but keep the future proofing, upgrading possibility and ease of upgrading as a key criteria as well.
Yeah, very good. Then I had just something about philosophical thinking is the design thinking of the AI world,
Right.
and how hospitality industry can lead or play a critical role in that evolution. So if AI is shaping decisions at scale, does philosophical thinking become the new competitive edge? And are hospitality leaders equipped to think on that level?
Yeah. So it was in March 2019. I was a keynote speaker for a Norwegian company and their entire senior leadership who were traveling to India, and it is in that talk that I mentioned that, and this was back in 2019, right? Almost 6 years, more than 6 years ago, that philosophical thinking would become the design thinking of the AI world, right? And by that, what I meant was, and not just philosophical thinking, right? It includes philosophy, sociology, history, anthropology, and psychology, all clubbed into one. I clubbed all of that into the term called philosophical thinking. By that, what I meant is intelligence is commoditized. Machines have become becoming intelligent, but someone has to make these machines humane, right? Okay, and that is the need of the hour. And what design thinking did, what Steve Jobs with Johnny Ive and the entire mobile and smartphone era brought to focus the brought into spotlight the entire design, good design, okay, into technology, marrying and showcase to the world. These two guys showcase to the world uh, the benefit of designing technology products, digital technology products, both hardware and software, beautifully, and keeping the design thinking in mind. That includes user experience, intuitive user experience, and this opened up an entire era of design thinking being very tightly integrated with the digital technology solutions and applications development, right? And that made design thinking mainstream in the smartphone mobile era, for the last 15-20 years. Now, philosophical thinking, making these artificial intelligence models, the machine learning models, deep learning models, more humane, okay, and models and the solutions, okay, more human, more ethical, more in line with the values and principles of the time, the prevalent values and principles of the time, because human values and principles also keep changing over time, mind you, right? Are there need to be an entire set of professionals who need to be constantly doing that for the AI models and the solutions. And that is what I meant by philosophical thinking. And now, if you look at in the current world, various amongst various industries, primarily service based industries and hospitality industries is where people, the people interaction, people are in the business of people, and people are in the business of relationships, okay. And you're a hospitality industry lifer and a veteran, right? I mean, how important it is for the general manager of a hotel to instantly, intuitively, not only know the little nuances and the quirks of an old time regular customer, but even if it's a new customer, to understand and very easily understand and cater to the requirements and quirks, and this one, how much that changes the service quality, okay, and how much that customer becomes a repeat customer for you. Now, these are all existing, intuitive, literally muscle memory level qualities that exist in the hospitality industry, in the airline industry, for example, in the service industry primarily. And those now need to be transferred at a mass scale to the machine. So I personally believe that there's a skill set, and an extremely valuable skill set, and a treasure of it that exists in the hospitality industry, that the AI AI solution makers and the model developers can use. I mean, Anthropic's co-founder herself is a philosopher. She's a PhD in philosophy. And recently, 2 weeks back, or a few weeks back, Google actually hired a chief philosophical officer. So the technology companies, especially the big tech companies, are already identifying the need, and creating these specific at a CXO level, at a C-suite level, they're creating space and verticals for philosophical thinking to come in. And I believe hospitality industry has a huge contribution to make, especially for that particular skill set and requirement of the tech industry today.
Very good. Okay, I have just one question about this topic.
Sure.
So, is design thinking too focused on solving problems, while philosophical thinking challenges whether those problems should exist in the first place?
Well, it's partly true. You can, in a way, say that design thinking is focused on solving problems. No, I would rather say design thinking is focused on bringing technology and technology based solutions and applications closer to the humans' day-to-day way of existence, making them intuitive for humans. That's primarily the objective and the primary need, and the basis of design thinking. That's what design thinking has been built on. That's one primary objective, right? More than solve. Okay, in by doing that, they solve problems. That's more, solving problems is more of a transactional element of design thinking. But the primary objective of design thinking is to bring technology, digital technology, as close to a human's intuitive way of existence, and a human being's intuitive way of existence changes across socioeconomic hierarchy and across different regions and markets of the world, mind you, right? And that's why design thinking, is different for different use cases, applications, and stuff like that. But at a very basic fundamental level, design thinking is to bring technology to close to intuitive human way of doing things, right? Integrating technology into humans way of life. Now, that is the need for design thinking. You asked philosophical thinking whether its need or its objective is to whether to question whether that need exists or not, right? That's only partly true. Okay, so there is this entire branch in parallel of AI that is being developed in parallel. That's called ethical AI and responsible AI. They're both very different. Okay, I'm not very different. There's a slight difference between both of them. Okay, ethical AI is to ensure that all AI development, okay, follows the values and principles of human values and principles and ethics, of that time and at that region. Okay, responsible AI is to ensure that all AI is accountable and responsible, because today, there are, let's take the case of healthcare, right? In healthcare, there exist AI solutions which can diagnose, basis your symptoms, to diagnose what problem or what ailment you have. Okay, but the healthcare AI industry today is not allowing those solutions to be launched, because a trained human professional in the form of a doctor is allowed to, he has the accountability and responsibility to make the diagnosis, okay, and put it in front of the patient, right? So that responsibility is still not being handed over to the machines. So responsible AI is being developed to ensure and to showcase that AI development is responsible and accountable as well, right? In both these cases and beyond, okay, there's a fundamental question that people working on both ethical AI and responsible AI, okay, do ask, that the problem that AI is solving, okay, the question that you asked, right? Does it need to be solved in the first place? Okay, so that does come in the form as a part of philosophical thinking. It is a part of philosophical thinking for the AI world, but not the whole of it. Okay, it is definitely a critical part.
Yeah. So, okay, the final part of this conversation about AI and so on, the opportunities for AI to create value in non-core technology industries. Yeah. When AI can replicate expertise cross-domain, does value creation shift from knowledge ownership to experience design? And are traditional industries prepared for that shift already?
The answer to your first question, the very short answer to your first question is yes. Heck yes. The very short answer to your second part of the question is no, heck no. Okay. So, sorry. So yes, in the non-core technology industries, okay, there is a need, and today, let's say today, Sam-Erik, if all innovation on AI stops, we are recording this on 12th May 2026, right? As of today, for some reason, all innovation on AI stops. The innovation that has happened so far in the last few months and a couple of years, that in itself today can create multi-trillion-dollar industries, and especially in the non-technology industries. And I'm talking retail, consumer, what here in US they call CPG, consumer products, products and goods, media, healthcare, okay, hospitality, airline services. All these are non-technology industries or non-technology first industries, right? In these industries, or apparel and fashion industry, right? In these industries, the the potential for value creation that AI can do today with all the innovation that has already happened in the last few months and years, okay, is huge. There are multi-trillion-dollar industries that can be built, but no one is building that, and that's exactly where we are focusing on, and that's why I'm on the East Coast. Even though I'm an AI professional, I'm not on the West Coast of US. I'm on the East Coast of US because most of these companies are on the East Coast, and we've developed a couple of such platforms which can create huge value. But to create that, you will need a domain expert and a subject matter expert from that industry, equally invested, and to help create the AI based solutions. For example, for us it took 1.5 years, and we worked very closely with one of the leading psychologists of the world based in Geneva, Susanna, you know her very well, right? To build the human behavior and hyper-personalization engine. And she was very, very involved. And then for our fashion industry AI platform, one of India's leading fashion designers, she spent the last 1.5 years literally very closely on a daily basis helping us build this. So we were able to transfer the brains and the thought process of these professionals into the machines, right? But that kind of an investment and involvement of an industry expert is required to build something like something like this. And are people able to do that today? The answer is no, because we are also developing a healthcare AI product. Okay, but for that, we don't have a doctor working very closely with us, although we're not working building a medical AI product. Okay, but the very fact that we ourselves are able to see in a couple of areas where we are working very closely with the domain experts and subject matter experts involvement literally on a daily basis for a prolonged period of time, the output of the product and the output of the platform that it comes up to, and the value creation that it can do. Whereas in certain areas where the subject matter expert or the domain expert is not involved, the value creation can be done, but it cannot be done in the core area of the sector or core area of the domain. So, again, getting back, the short answer is yes. The short answer is no.
Okay. Can you reveal a little bit about the healthcare innovation that you're working or the application, just to share a few words, what it is that all about? So, I think the audience will be interested if you can.
So we are working, on a healthcare product for the American market specifically, especially for doctors, clinics, clinicians, and even hospitals. We are doing the pre-authorization of the patient before they walk in, at the time of appointment or the telephonic appointment itself, and then basis their when they share their insurance policy number, we are doing the pre-authorization of what ailments that they are they are able to get paid, and which for which elements they have to pay out of pocket. And we are also doing code mapping, because the medical codes need to be mapped for the doctors and the clinicians office to claim for this from the insurance payers. We are doing we are automating all of this, so all the administrative pre and post consultation administrative effort is something that we are automating, and for the US industry, and that's the healthcare product we're building. So we're building the healthcare administrative automation engine, and we are also doing prediction going forward, and cost optimization, both for the hospitals and the clinics and the patients as well. When they walk in, these guys don't have to pay more than what is required out of pocket, and these guys get to map the right code and get paid optimally and in a smooth way. So those are some of the things that we are automating. So everything except for diagnosis, everything around that we are optimizing and automating it. Yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Well, thanks, Jayanth, for sharing that, and thanks for all your insight also today in this episode. So now the final segment is off the mic. We are not going to talk about your expertise in AI and tech and so on. More about learning a little bit about Jayanth.
Okay.
unlike the audience, I know you a little bit more than many people who are in the audience, but I'd like to just ask a few questions. So you've been away now from Bangalore several months, and you're going to be away for what? What is the number one thing you can't wait to have as a meal when you get back to Bangalore?
Masala dosa. It's a South Indian savory pancake made with ghee, pasteurized Indian butter. Yeah.
Okay. So you advised many giants like Google and Apple, and also when you talk to the tech companies and who you're visiting, be honest, who has a better coffee or tea in their office when you go meet them?
Better coffee, Apple. Better, everything else, all snacks, Google.
Okay. If AI could replace one annoying daily task in your life instantly, what would you delegate first? Emails, meetings, or small talk?
Creating, end-to-end customized presentations as I'm thinking them. That is something that AI is still not doing. I love small talk, Sam-Erik, so I would never delegate that out. You know that.
Yes. You worked across telecom, AI, blockchain. What's the one buzzword you secretly hope retires soon?
Ooh. Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't wait for that to retire because of the volatility and because of the amount of disinformation and misinformation and the actual adverse impact that it's having on so many people around the world. Yeah. Bitcoin. Yeah.
So how many patents have you been involved with in creating?
I have filed for, this was back in 2019, 8 patents. Okay. And now with these 2 platforms we're developing, there are potentially 17 patents that we are working on that we are yet to file. So.
Okay. So let's say you have done 8 patents later. What's the one crazy idea you haven't built yet, but still think about at 2 a.m. in bed?
Well, it's the original idea of one of my first patents, which is to build a world-class, badminton playing robot to spar with my daughter, who wants to, who aims to become a professional badminton athlete. Yeah. So I have a
knowing you, Jayanth, you will develop it very, very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my last question, if you had to explain AI to your younger self using a movie or popular music analogy, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Using movie or a popular music analogy to a younger self.
Into heavy rock or something, something you can pick up from their analogy.
I can think of a couple of movies. The movie that I'm thinking of, or the section of the movie I'm thinking of, is more to do with quantum physics and consciousness than AI. But I don't know. I think the movie that comes closest is some episodes of the Black Mirror series, probably. Okay. Some episodes probably. Okay, I'll pick one episode: the $1 million credits.
There you go.
Yeah, $1 million credits of the Black Mirror series. Yeah.
Okay, so is it the final question? I know you're a music lover. You have a choice of having a band to an event which you are hosting, and you don't really care, and you want to please the guests, but not want to overplease because they might be very conservative in their taste. Okay. What the kind of band would you have playing there?
Okay. So you're saying the audience, I have to please the audience who are conservative, but not very, the
audience is a little bit concerned. You know that the audience you have are have a little bit different taste to music than you have, or they're a little bit conservative.
Okay.
But knowing you, I know you have a particular kind of music that you love.
Right.
But what band would you still want them to enjoy, because they may have some aspects of that, their sound and so on, that would make the event a big success?
It would be Three Doors Down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks for joining us this week on the Social Hotelier Show. Make sure to visit our website The Social Hotelier Show, blueberry.net, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, or via RSS, so you never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we appreciate a rating in Apple Podcast. Or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that will help us out too. Be sure to tune in for our next episode.